All right, here we go. We got an episode of What's Up, and look who we have. We have the lovely Miss Shari Earhart, and she's here to help us figure out what's up. Okay, how you been?
Good.
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
All right, so we have had a bunch of conversations this week about what's up in the world, politics, church, um, child rearing, marriage, life. What's some of the other things? Because we've had a really busy
Nutrition.
summer. We had one
Yeah.
kid graduate Army boot camp. We had another kid get married and move away. We've had revival at the church. We've completed a building program at the church. We've had family in town for those different activities. It's been a lot of fun. There's so much rage bait on uh, X and others with all the politics and the Trump derangement syndrome, and you got Ukraine, and you got
The
Israel, and you
CDC,
got
RFK,
yeah, you got
IRS,
vaccines, you're just on and on and
FBI.
on and on. So what are we talking about today? What's up today?
Okay, so with our daughter getting married,
Yes.
quite young, a lot of people's eyebrows go up when they
Yeah.
hear how young she was, and her husband too.
Yeah.
Um, we've been noticing a trend. We have 4 or 5 wedding invitations on our refrigerator right now of people who are 22 and under
Okay.
getting married.
Yes. So
Um,
Gen Z is doing
they're
the trad
getting
thing.
married. So what's up with all this young marriage?
What's up with all this young marriage? Yeah. So I think just so I'm going to do a 30,000 foot look for a minute, and then we can get in the weeds if you don't mind. So 30,000 foot is, I believe there's a spiritual revival going on with Gen Z. We see all the evidence of it. Pollsters who track politics see it. See what they would term a rightward shift or conservative shift. Okay, so that shift, whatever's driving it, we can talk about that in a minute. But that rightward conservative shift would seem to provoke and track with traditional marriage and family life resurgence. One of the things we're like so it's not just traditional marriage we're seeing resurge. So church attendance has gone up for the first time in 4 decades in England, Germany, the United States. We're seeing church attendance go up, but it's not just church attendance. It's the church attendance is going up for the first time in 4 decades, and it's all 25 and unders who are starting to attend church.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're seeing a resurgence of conservative thinking. Now, conservatism is tied with right wing politics the way progressivism is tied with left wing politics. Even if the people themselves are not political, the two track together because you're representatives on those two spectrums, the representatives of the right in our country, that's republicanism, Republican Party, and the people who represent kind of progressive ideology and left wing stuff are Democrats, right? So even if the young people are not politically motivated, and the evidence is they're not, they are being more politically engaged, but young people are not politically motivated, or at least conservative young people are usually not politically motivated. They're motivated by more immediate things, as almost all young people are. Immediate gratification. That's one of the hallmarks of being immature, is that you tend towards immediate gratification versus long-term stability, right? So
Right.
that's the mark of immaturity or youth. We'll say not immature. We'll call it youth. So that's the mark of youth. So when they're polled and talked to, their world is very small and immediate.
Right.
So the question would then be not is there a resurgent of traditional life and conservatism in young people. It is. Gen Z, every marker, Gen Z is just swelling with it. I think then, so for me, a bigger question is why is this happening? And I think that human beings are very simple. There's nothing to, as we would quote Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. And Gen Z are just coming out of the most schizophrenic social time in American history. And there's always dangers with this because people will always try to misquote you and twist what you're saying, right? So I would say that our society, since 2008, American social life, which then involves political life, but American social life, became so disrupted and confused with gender ideology, sexual ideology, and then corporate and political America playing in that.
Yeah.
And so this generation was raised with social confusion, gender confusion, sexual orientation confusion, and in many cases, it was promoted cynically by politics, and then it was promoted economically by corporate world, right? So the corporate world is always going to try to get in bed with the political world. They're going to try to buy the political world off with donations, and then they're going to try to align themselves with where the politics are to get favors back, right? So to expect when we expect stars, anybody who makes their money, makes their living in the realm of popular opinion, we'll call it that. So media stars, movies, music, companies that are big in the advertising realm, marketing realm. Because some companies, they have a product that it doesn't, like if you're making bombs for, the U.S. Air Force, you probably you're not out there with a marketing campaign, right? But if you're Target or Walmart or Pepsi or Coke, and all the politics begin to go in a certain direction, right? You start going in that direction simply because you don't want the disfavor, right? Now I'm setting a stage here. So what happens is then Gen Z is born into this world where this gender confusion, sexual orientation confusion, and corporate media kind of melding together with those two things, it set the stage. There had to be a backlash. There had to be.
Yeah. So it always swings.
Right.
And the progressive ideology went so far,
right,
to say that men can have babies.
Yes.
And women can turn into men.
Right.
And so what I'm seeing on my Instagram feed, I follow all my nieces and nephews that have Instagram. They're all around 17 to 29 years old.
Right.
And I've muted.
And you have a lot of them.
I have a lot of them. I have muted the stories of everything else that I follow. So I see their stories, and then I check. I just like to watch what they like.
Yeah.
So that's mostly what I do on Instagram. I'm watching their stories, and I'm watching what they've liked.
Yes.
And what I see is a lot of them. There's some silly stuff. The boys watch some videos about games that I don't get into that. Some of the joke videos that they've liked, I don't really think are humorous. But
They're young.
They're young. They're teenage boys, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But a lot of what they like is little videos of babies, and the captions on the videos say, "This is the true wealth. This is what I wanted. This is what it's all about."
Right.
And it's little babies. It's mothers swinging their children around, or fathers
Sure.
holding their babies, playing out under a street light, and the video is the mom looking down at the dad in the street light at night. It's snowing, and the caption says, "It's what I always wanted."
Right.
This is what I always wanted. I saw today Benny Johnson, the political commentator. His picture today was him sitting outside with his 4 children. They're in their jammies. It's like first thing in the morning. And he says, "This is true wealth."
Yes.
They're all on his lap. They're all laughing.
Yeah.
They're probably all 4 of them 6 and under. And so they're close together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a busy house.
That's a busy house.
And stressed out a lot of times.
Mom and dad stressed.
But he is smiling, and he's saying, nothing else could be better than this.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the pinnacle.
Yeah, and so Tucker Carlson says a lot recently that once he had his spiritual awakening a couple of years ago, that he realized nothing mattered but his family, his children, and his wife. And then from there, their parents, right? And then that's all that mattered. The rest of it was all noise. Mm-hmm. So they are what matters. And then defending them and making the world they live in better was become what all that matters, right?
Right. So once a person says this is the most important, then all of the policies of, like, people who have time
mm-hmm.
and inclination to work on policies, when they realize that is the most important thing, then their policy work is to protect and shield and defend that most important thing.
Yeah, for sure. So, now the church. So, if you believe that the pendulum idea of generational kind of zeitgeist is real, so every generation's going to kind of rebel against what their generation did before them.
Yeah.
Right. If you believe that kind of is true, then what we saw was what produced this generation. Because I was thinking about, so had we been married and had children at a normal age, mm-hmm. right? We would have kids in our 30s.
Yeah.
They would probably have young children, 2 to 6 years old, 2 to 8 years old right now.
Yeah.
We would be grandparents, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
I know we don't look like it, but we would be grandparents, right? So, the people we know that are a little ahead of us, maybe one generation ahead of us, their kids and our generation's kids abandoned marriage, abandoned child rearing. Mm-hmm. So the millennials, Generation X and millennials, like, declined significantly in marriage mm-hmm. and in birth rates. Mm-hmm. In Europe, it declined so bad that it's almost unrecoverable, right?
Yeah.
So what were those generations responding to? What happened that caused millennials to become so progressive?
I don't know. Gen X is always known as the latchkey generation.
Yes.
So the early Gen Xers were the parents of
millennials.
The millennials.
Right.
So I have a few friends, not many, but I have a few friends, Gen X people, whose parents got divorced. And they got married, but generationally, just in society, a lot of Gen X people and millennials said, we can't get married because that was so painful. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
to my kids.
Yeah. So all right. So millennials, generally speaking, were not born into single parent households,
Right.
but they were the first generation born into divorce households.
Yeah.
So they were and if you look at the progression of it, right, and how, like, we can explore how much feminism provoked this, because what we didn't say in the opening here is this trad life movement is mostly centered around young men. Now, Christian girls seem to be buying into it, the ones in our circle.
Yeah.
But when the polling goes out, young ladies right now are trending. Gen Z young ladies are more left than they've ever been, right? Where women traditionally wanted, they were the ones dreaming of marriage and home and things like that. In this generation, that's gone. They're dreaming of being an OnlyFans model and making millions and being, named a pop star, right? What this generation's young ladies are dreaming of is completely diverging from what the young men are dreaming of. The young men are wanting home and marriage, and the girls are not. And there's some racial disparity as well, but the big disparity is gender disparity. The women are more, the young girls are more left than ever, and the young boys are more conservative than they've ever polled historically since polls have been taken about this, right? So that doesn't bode well, because men and women have to get together and have babies, right? That's how it works.
Yeah,
like it
but
or not.
I think it's going to swing. I think it's going to swing because girls want boys.
Yes. And boys want girls.
Yes. So it might take a little while, and the boys might get a little older before they find somebody, but there's going to be enough young women to marry those young men.
Sure.
There will be.
Well, one of the other things they're finding right now, and it's everywhere, is that modern TikTok culture made young ladies thinking that having a body count was a good thing.
Yeah.
Having experience, sleeping with lots of boys, right? But the more conservative and traditional young men become, the more likely they're going to be to say no to choices of young ladies who have a body count.
Right.
They're going to be looking for girls that did not follow that path.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So it's really good for all the church girls.
Right.
When I was trying to get married, the church was devoid of
young men looking for you kind of girls.
Yeah.
Right. Now all these young men are exactly what they're doing. This is why church attendance is up. The young men are going to church to find a mate.
Yeah.
Right? So all of a sudden, high five.
Yeah.
All those church girls that have been good girls, they're going to become the hot commodity, right?
That's right.
Yeah. It's real, right? It's real. Because, of course, you take someone like a Jordan Peterson. Dr. Peterson is a evolutionary biologist, right? Or sociologist, right? So he, even though he's now come to faith, he still views everything through the lens of evolution, right? So he sees most male-female behavior the same way he would look at lobsters mating or peacocks mating. He looks at it like that. He looks at it from this broader evolutionary perspective, right? So if that's the case, then, and we know this from everybody knows this. Once you get old, if you look back at being a teenager, all your puffing and preening was about trying to mate.
Yeah. All
of it was about trying to look cool or pretty or attractive for the other person, right? So it's going to be interesting to see as this develops now over the next, say, 8 to 10 years, what is going to be seen as attractive,
right,
for this generation,
right?
Because they're going to develop. What you begin to do is develop what attraction looks like, and then draw to that, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what this generation finds attractive.
I have seen so many really beautiful videos. I know filters notwithstanding,
Yes.
camera angles, all of that. Um, but so many videos of somebody making bread where you don't really see her head. You just see her hands and arms.
Yeah.
And she's got this frilly, and it's not the same person. But it's the same person. This kind of like blousy, frilly, very feminine top on, and she's making bread. And sourdough is all the thing right now, making little sourdough designs in the bread. And it's very like 1800. We're not even talking 1950s. 1800s.
We're talking prairie life here.
The light in the video is window light.
Yeah.
It's like there's no even electricity in this house, and it's some kind of stone oven that's fed by wood or
so
something.
everybody's becoming Amish.
I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think is really beautiful. Even if you don't go to that extreme,
Right.
It's really beautiful to say that a woman, not that she belongs in the kitchen, but that she loves to be
Right.
taking care of a home.
Well, so that stop right there. That word home. So the thing that gets denigrated is home, and a home is built on a loving relationship, committed relationship. We call marriage, right? On child rearing, exactly what you're talking about, Benny Johnson, where he's saying we know what it's like to have young children, lots of them, right? It's hard, it's difficult, but it's so good.
It takes so much skill, too, to manage the small corporation of a home.
Yes.
The
Maturity and
scheduling and the supply income, receiving, whatever you would call it on a resume.
Sure.
The dock supervision of unloading supplies and
shipping and receiving.
The managerial skills of
budgeting.
Yeah, budgeting. It's a whole, like, when to pay and when to hold off paying.
Right. Yeah.
And
menu planning.
Yes.
On and on and on and on.
Yes.
Right?
It's a small business.
That's right. So yeah, that's why it's when people denigrate and feminists denigrate women who choose to stay at home and not work. And I'm going, not work? What do you mean not work? A young lady who's really committed herself to making their house a home and a place of refuge for her family. She's working harder than anybody there is. She's bringing the only real good there is to society. Because this is the reality. There's no such thing as a good community without good homes. First, you start with a good home. Then that creates good neighborhoods. And good neighborhoods creates a good town. And good towns create a good state and so on, right? There's no top-down creation of good society. Right? And this is the failing of the left. And this is why the trad is coming back, right? The left, whether you can, whatever you think about them, and I'm not denigrating them, this is their worldview. Their worldview is to use government structure to do good, right? A conservative worldview is to use the individual liberty to do good. So one's a top-down vision and the other one's a bottom-up vision, right? And so whatever you think about those two, the reality is, we know this, and Thomas Sowell, I remember watching Thomas Sowell back in the late 70s, early 80s when I was I would geek on politics as a young teenager. And he was so sharp, and he had worked in government policy. He had worked in New York social services fresh out of Stanford. And he was a socialist in college, right? Nearly communist. And so he goes to work for the government in social services. And he said when people ask him, well, how'd you become so conservative? He said, I went to work for the government. And I realized real quick that what we were trying to impose on people from the top down could never happen. Not only could it not happen, but we were making things worse by trying to do it from the top down.
Right.
Right?
So we've said this many times, how many organizations the women started?
Yeah.
The Christian women.
Yes.
Especially when you had a housekeeper or a cook, late 1800s, early 1900s,
Yeah.
even middle class people had at least one household worker.
Right. Well, because that was an early job entry skill for a young lady
Yeah.
who was waiting to get married herself.
Yeah.
She could go to work taking care of your children or cleaning your house, learning her home skills until it was her time to have her own home.
Well, then the women had some time to go have ladies' meetings, to start societies of
Sure.
this
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
and the other thing. Well, if women are always at work, then there is a call for the government to get involved.
Yeah.
But anytime the government gets involved,
They make a mess of
things
it, right?
go bad.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't need daycare if you weren't gone from the home, right?
Right.
So the government says, "Oh, we need daycare." Well, why are most women gone from the home? Because they're no longer married,
Right.
right? So again, good society starts at a home, right? So, and this is, look, we've talked about this so many times, and it's what's up, right? It's always interesting to me that progressive and left-wing politics promotes a lifestyle, destructive lifestyle to what we're talking about, traditional life. They promote lifestyles that they themselves don't live. So if you look at all these progressive politicians, they're all married. They're all sent their kids to private schools and to college. None of them live the lifestyles that they so readily promote.
Right. Their kids don't go to the public schools that they say all of us should use.
Right.
They're against homeschooling.
That's right.
They want us to send our kids to public school, but
That's
they
right.
send their kids to
Yeah.
private school.
But not only that, but they're all married.
Right.
And they get married and their kids get married.
Yeah.
But yet they promote lifestyles that are completely denigrating marriage and destroying marriage.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the height of hypocrisy. It's the equivalent, and this is what you should look for in your politics. If your representative is telling you to put on a mask and they don't, that's all you need to know. If your representative is outstanding with you promoting gay marriage or trans this or whatever, and none of them live that, right? And their children don't live that, right? Then you're dealing with what's called crass politics and hypocrisy, right? So they promote lifestyles they don't actually live, right? And what they're doing is stealing the future of these people they're promoting that lifestyle towards, right? So what we see now is that out of World War II, women began to enter the workforce. Feminism bought into that, began to promote it. Government comes along with welfare programs that promote it. And Daniel Patrick Moynihan, a super liberal Democrat senator who was a young professor at New York University in 1968, he did a 4-year study of the civil rights legislation that also included what was called the Great Society program, welfare, right? So from 64 to 68, he looked at the programs. It was only 4 years into this Great Society. And he unleashed what was called the Moynihan Report. And in there, he prophesied the collapse of the black family, right? It happened. The collapse of marriage, right? The explosion of the welfare state, right? And the crime and poverty that would birth out of it. So here was this very liberal man who went on to become a liberal senator who never was a conservative, never became one. But as a professor, he had to be honest with the data. And the only thing he got wrong in the Moynihan Report of 1968 was he underestimated how fast it would happen and the degree to which it would destroy American families, right? Yeah. He underestimated it by about 75%. It was at least 4 times worse than what he estimated, right? So now we're at a point that in the black community, 8 out of 10 children are born in a single-parent household. In the white community, depending on what you look at, because often, so white is often separated from white Latino, and sometimes it's merged. So if they're separated, whites are at 50% single-parent households. If it was merged with Latinos because they stay married more, then you're down to around 30%. But either way, you're somewhere between 3 to 8 out of America's children are born in a single-parent household.
So why did we support our daughter and work so hard to help her to get married? And there were some personal things that were less philosophical. We love her. We wanted her to meet her goals. You know, we're just saying, okay, you're going to get married.
Yeah, but you're asking a philosophical question.
But it's more philosophical.
So our daughter was 17. She married a 19-year-old Marine, right? And so philosophically, why did we think that was a good thing and promote it and participate?
Yeah, why didn't we just say,
hold on,
no
wait,
way.
Slow the train down.
Yeah.
A couple of things. Number one is the philosophy of parenting we have, which I think is hopefully a somewhat universal Christian philosophy of parenting, right? That your children belong to God. And our job, they have been entrusted to us. And our job is to train them in the way they should go. So our parenting was to train them to be good, healthy, godly adults, productive citizens. And so we felt like we had done that. We had reached that point. She graduated high school early. She had a young man that had been interested in her for, at that point, somewhere around 5 or 6 years, since they were young teenagers. And
but they had not dated.
They had not dated
that
or
whole
anything,
time.
right?
They just knew each other.
They just knew each other.
Yeah.
But he had his eyes on her. And when he began to ask, could he date her? So he calls me the first time and asked me, could he take my daughter out? And he was 18 and she was 16. And I said, no, sir. She just turned 16. She does not need to be in a romantic relationship. Y'all can be friends. And then the next year, she turned 17 and they started dating. So they began to date. And after about 6 months of dating, he asked her to marry him, right?
Mostly they dated long distance.
It was long distance. He's in the Marines.
They were talking on the phone a lot.
Lots of talking on the phone.
Lots of talking.
Right. So, but the reality is both of them wanted traditional life. They wanted to be married. They want to have children. They want to have a home. He wants to have a career in the Marine Corps. He wants to raise his family. He desired nothing more to be a husband and a father. Right? He looks forward one day to having his children in their jammies hanging out. So their worldview, the Bible puts it this way: it's better to marry than to burn. Right? So what we've settled for is a bunch of sexual encounters that are unproductive and unfulfilling, versus finding someone who's philosophically, spiritually, and emotionally compatible with you, and then committing your lives together to say, let's do this thing called life together. Yeah. Right? And so her husband John and our daughter both were raised from households that was the worldview. That you didn't have lots of sexual encounters, you didn't date lots of people. You were looking to find someone who is compatible on all these ranges, and once you found that person, you simply commit before God and before your family and friends that we're going to spend our lives together making a family and a home. Right.
So one thing that has been a kind of a new idea for me in this process is that for a long time I thought it was college or marriage. And one of the things that I've been trying to practice is that two things can be true at the same time, and they're not always
For sure.
against each other.
Right.
So why couldn't they get married and she go to college?
Right.
Of course. Like, why is that so
Yeah.
profound? But it seems like people say college or
Yeah, well, our
college
oldest son,
or military, college or a
our
job.
oldest son has that philosophy.
Yeah.
He wants his education first.
Yes.
Then he will be interested in maybe finding someone.
Right.
Right?
Right. So it can be either or.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to be
Doesn't
either
have
or.
to be. Right.
And in my mind, for forever, it was either or. But it's not.
No,
Getting
certainly
married does not
Yeah.
mean you're done.
Well, and
Not at all done.
But so this whole idea of college, and I understand an undergraduate degrees. I understand the way it helps a young person matriculate, right? It's so important, right? So military service, college, something like that, that is your stepping stone out of your parents' home
Yeah.
and to matriculate into adulthood.
So that's the key right there, stepping out
Right.
of your parents' home, of their directions on your life.
Right.
And they're like you standing up on your own and saying, I'm going to take charge of my bills, my decisions,
Yes.
my
Yeah.
Spiritual
Sure.
life. In every way, I'm an adult now and
Right.
I'm taking charge.
Yeah, and if you're in a healthy relationship with your family, with your parents, and your maybe your church family or whatever, they all know you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And as long as your mistakes are not frivolous mistakes,
Yeah.
are purposeful mistakes, right? So it's a purposeful mistake to be cheating on your spouse with someone at work, right?
Right.
But so that has to be dealt with, and the consequences that come from that need to be dealt with, right?
Yeah.
But we all expect young people to make mistakes in their early adulthood.
Yeah.
And so you should, if it's been done well, you have a support system that's going to help you. Mm-hmm. If you bought a car that had 18% interest and you should have asked for some advice before you done it, and now you're kind of stuck, and right? Then you ask your parents to come along and give me some help here. I need some help. I made a mistake,
Yeah.
right?
We know a young man who finished school and went to lineman school
Yes.
and got a really good job.
Yes.
I think it was 25 an hour starting. And then he had his own money
Yes.
and he was going to move out of his parents' house. And so he did that. He moved, I think, into his grandparents, but they were not really going to be involved in his bills. So
Right.
then he went and bought a car without asking for any advice. It was a used car. And it turned out to be
A lemon.
a bad deal. And within a few days, 3 or 4 days, the car was broken down.
Right.
Enough time that the dealership
Said, never mind.
really needed to take it back.
Yeah.
But he didn't know how to have that conversation.
Right.
So then he asked his dad.
Dad,
And
help.
his dad said, I wish you would have asked me to
Right.
look that car over
Yeah.
before you bought it. But they helped him
Yes.
to
And that's what I'm
undo
talking exactly
that.
That case is exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We know you're young. We don't expect you to be perfect. We're not going to denigrate you for making mistakes.
Yeah.
We're here as a support system to help you matriculate into
Yeah.
adulthood.
And the next car he was looking at, he said, Dad, can you look at this with me?
Right.
So he learned a really valuable lesson.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, so this is an issue I think all young people face, and depending on how dysfunctional your household is you're coming from, you're gonna have a lot of variables on this. But and for us, we've trained our children, we've raised them and trained them to leave our home and to go find their destiny with the Lord and what their calling is and what their direction is and but often I think advice from parents sounds like orders from parents.
Yeah.
And so it makes it difficult for your young adult child, to hear your advice because they think you're telling them what to do, because your whole life with them has been telling them what to do.
Yeah.
So now they don't
So
want you to tell them what to
you
do.
said something to me the other day. I was telling you about some young parents that I had observed with a 3.5-year-old. It was at our homeschool group, and they were it was mom and dad there together, which is kind of unusual. The mom was handling most of the child's behavior, and they were in the hallway outside the classroom where the child was supposed to be. Something had happened, so they went out in the hall. I don't know what had happened in there, but they were out in the hall, and the mom was saying very gently to the child, "Oh, would you like to go back in? Don't you want to go back in? They're dancing in there, they're singing, they're having a good time. Don't you want to go back in?" And we were saying that's not how we would have handled it
No.
at that age.
No.
But this is what you said that I've been thinking about. You said that the way they were talking to him is how we need to start talking to our adult children.
Yes.
The questioning, like,
Right.
wouldn't you like to?
Right.
Or
So it's the inversion.
suggestiveness.
Right. So for the audience sake, I'll say it. So God gave me this kind of inverted V understanding of raising our children. Because I had grown up in a kind of a dysfunctional childhood, difficult childhood in many ways, kind of typical for my community, but difficult to become a successful adult. Mm-hmm. So I came from a neighborhood where many of us who were raised there, our homes were very similar to each other, but that culture and environment made it difficult for a lot of us to become productive, functioning adults. Mm. So I'm not denigrating my household. I'm just saying that I came from a community, a neighborhood, where we were all kind of like this.
Culture.
Right, a culture. Yeah. So what happens is that the child is kind of a child-centric, and there's a difference between these two. So you got to understand the language I'm using. A child-centric parenting makes the child the boss. Mm-hmm. Where a family-centric parenting makes the parents the boss to train the children, mm-hmm. right?
For the good of the
For
children.
the good of the child, right? So what you find is those households where the kid was always, they're giving choices, right? Because the parents, in somewhere in their mind, they think that's a good thing for a young child. Mm-hmm. And your brain is not developed. You don't need choices. You need direction.
Right.
Children crave direction and they crave bumpers. They want guardrails. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing when they're being disobedient often is simply trying to find the guardrail. Where's the end of my ability to run amok here, right? Mm-hmm. So when you do this child-centric, what do you want, dear? What would you like? What flavor? What color? What this? What that? Right? So what happens is it becomes so inverted and so perverse is that behavior when they're a child later leads to you, because what happens is as they grow into maturity, they have not been trained to make good decisions.
Right.
They've been given choices, but not training on how to make good decisions, mm-hmm. right? And so as they get older, you end up having to tell them what to do all the time because they don't make good choices, right? Mm-hmm. They make immediate gratification choices because that's really what you've trained them to do. You've trained that child to listen to their emotions mm-hmm. and make immediate gratification choices by asking them what they want, say from 1 to 5. Right. If you keep asking that 1 to 5-year-old what they want, you've trained them to only listen to their emotions and gratify the immediate.
Right.
So now when they're 15, they don't know how to make, they're emotional. Mm-hmm. And they make all decisions on emotion. And so they're angry, they're sullen, they're resisting you, right? Mm-hmm. And you end up telling them what to do. You keep telling them what to do. So as they grow into adulthood and they're 25 years old, you're still telling them what to do. Because they can't seem to get their life together.
Right.
Right? The reverse of that is from 0 to 5, training your child to obey your voice. Mm-hmm. Because you're the adult. Mm-hmm. You already know what food groups are good for them. Mm-hmm. You already know what sleep patterns are good for them. Mm-hmm. You already know what games and group activities are good for them. Mm-hmm. I don't need them to choose those things. I need to make them do those things, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen me as a pastor how many times I do big giant eye rolls when parents are talking about, oh, little Johnny didn't want to do that, right? And 10 years later, their kid's off the rails. And we were saying, well, we don't say it because it would not be kind, but when they wouldn't make their children participate at 5, now at 15, they can't figure out why their child won't participate in anything.
Right.
And he's sullen, and he's angry, and he's disconnected. And so here they are in this community, but not a part of this community. Mm-hmm. They're in this family, but not a part of that family, mm-hmm. right? Because you gave them choices instead of training.
Yeah.
Right? But the beautiful thing is, if you train the child early, then you mentor them through their teen years and you release them into their adulthood.
Right.
Right?
So we had a gentleman tell us after we talked through this process one day, he said, oh, I see now your daughter is ready to go.
Exactly.
There's so many things I think she doesn't know. She doesn't know.
Right.
But it's all the stuff that nobody knows when they start out.
You're just learning.
Nobody knows.
And this is the reality. We're in our 50s. And if we're honest with ourselves, we have lots of experience. We're both educated. We have lots of life experience. We have child rearing experience, ministry experience, professional career experience. We've matured, and God has been good to us, right? Mm-hmm. But if we're just going to be honest, we still just make many silly mistakes in life as anybody does.
Still we say, well, what should we do about this problem?
Right.
Or how do we do this?
So much of life.
Are we doing this right?
So much of life for the rest of your life is predicated on a good problem-solving skill set.
Yes.
And that's what you should be training your
and
child.
good habits.
Good habits.
Good habits go a long way in taking care of a lot of problems.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of just silly problems.
Yeah.
That will not sideline you.
Yeah.
Good habits will just simply take care of those. I love, Jordan Peterson says, make your bed, clean your room.
Right.
Joyce Meyer says, wash the dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
Before you go to bed at night, do not go to bed with dirty dishes in your sink. Mm-hmm. Right? Because they're saying to you, these simple habits, you cannot see how these simple habits will make your life so much more peaceful and stable. Right?
Yes.
In the same way, if you've trained your children to have good problem-solving skills, and problem-solving skills are predicated, this is a biblical model. Good problem-solving skills are being humble enough to ask for help before you do something stupid.
Yeah.
Not necessarily after you do it, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you don't know that you don't know.
Right.
You think you know.
Yeah.
So you step out. That's where God.
Which is a factor of
grace,
youth, right? You think you know when you're young.
That's where God has grace and mercy for us.
Glory.
When you step out to do something and it goes so badly because you didn't ask anybody, but you thought you knew. So you thought you didn't.
Yeah.
And you didn't even think you needed to ask.
No, you asked yourself.
You asked yourself and you knew the answer.
Right.
You thought you knew the answer. So there's always grace for that situation. But in sending her out to be a wife in a new community, a new town with a car that sometimes breaks down, she's never paid bills other than we've made her be responsible for her phone and her own Spotify.
Yeah.
So even that.
No, and Kids Ablaze.
And she's had to pay for Kids Ablaze. Even those small things, she has been completely on her own with due dates.
Yeah.
I don't even know when her phone
Well, it's something as simple as this.
needed to be paid.
By the time they turn 5, you trained them to wash their own dishes, wash their own clothes.
Yeah.
They were responsible for their...
Well, 7.
Is it 7? Yeah,
Yeah.
7. So they've been responsible for their own laundry, right?
Yep. Since
So
they were
all
7.
these little things add up to learning how to be a
Yes.
responsible adult.
Yes, and I really was not worried about her. Is she going to be able to find the grocery store? Is she going to be able... I'm just not worried about that.
I'm really not worried about her in anything.
Even with her car breaking
Yeah.
down, you've taught her how to listen to it, and she knows a lot
Yes.
about her car.
Her father-in-law said she's his mechanic.
Yeah. She's his mechanic daughter.
Yeah.
She actually might know more than her husband about
I think
fixing
she does.
cars.
And she's a better shot than he is. He's a Marine and he hates that, but she's a better shot.
But we love him,
Yeah,
so
we
we
love him.
won't
We
really
love
say anything. But I think it's parents who have gotten to the end of their time of influence, or what should be the end,
Yes.
and they've realized, I have not taught even laundry.
It's guilt. It's guilt.
It's like, oh no.
It's guilt.
Oh no.
They don't
I'm
don't
worried
let go.
now.
They don't let go because they're looking at this adult child and they realize this adult child has not matriculated. They don't feel like this child can go out and conquer the world,
Yeah.
right? And they feel guilty about it, and they try to keep parenting that child as if they're 5 years old now.
Right.
They try to go back, and instead of saying, what would you like to do, honey? What would you like to do, honey? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want that? Instead of doing that now, they try to tell them everything they should do. Mm-hmm. It's a complete inversion of the way it should happen. I tell you what to do when you're young so that you can go out and discover what you would like to do when you're old.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying, even these last few days since I told you about that situation
Yes.
with the little one, I've been trying to say, okay, I have to switch with them now, and I'm just going to think of myself as that mom, even though the kids are this big instead of this big. That's how I'm going to talk to them. Okay. Well, would you like to? What do you want to do?
Yeah. Which is more mentoring.
Choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are the choices. I'll help you
Yeah.
get your choices.
I'll be a sounding board for you.
Yeah.
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 And that's what we should become. We should become that a safety net while they're matriculating. We should be a sounding board for them, right? That they feel safe to bounce their ideas off of us. I was thinking about doing this. I thought I might do this. What do you think about that? And we don't tell them what to do, but we ask the good questions. Well, what would be the outcome of this? And
Yeah.
why do you think you should do that? And
So if a parent has, let's say, a 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, and they might be watching this and they're saying, oh, I have not taught
I did it
a
wrong.
lot of things.
Right.
There's still time.
Yes.
A little bit of time.
Yeah.
What is the process? How do they say, wait, stop, change direction?
Yeah, that's
Direction?
That's a great question, and it's one I, as a pastor, we run into sometimes, often. One first thing I'd say this is if once your child's 15 and over, something has happened spiritually in them that you really can't tell them what to do anymore. Now, hear me, parents, on what I mean by that. Obviously, I can tell my child, my 15, 16-year-old, take out the trash. You with me? I'm not talking in some kind of weird absolute when I say you can't tell them what to do anymore. I'm saying spiritually inside, a mechanism, something, a switch is flipped. That in their mind, they're saying to you with their eyes, body language, and everything, you can't tell me what to do anymore. I'm grown. Now, they're not fully grown, but they're physically, by the time you're 16, you're in puberty. Many young ladies look completely grown.
Yeah.
Some young men...
I stopped growing when I was 13.
Right. Some young men are not fully there yet because young men continue to grow until they're about 21. But at 16, they're already in there and they're getting facial hair and their bodies have physically changed. So those physiological changes accompany a spiritual change where they say to themselves, you can't tell me what to do. And it's true, you can't. And what I mean by that is their philosophy of life is kind of set. You had your time to do that with them when they were 0 to 10. So then what do you do now when you got this 15-year-old that's sullen, disconnected? They really don't seem prepared for life. You gotta have a plan of where do I go now, and you have to begin to enter into a mentoring relationship with them, right? And I would say that the Socratic method is the way to do that, right? So and so it doesn't change. So I would say this, because what I'm doing with our teenagers, our older teenagers, when one of them needs discipline, I go take them to another room. I sit down with them. I allow a few minutes of quiet, just moments of quiet, and then I start saying, now, why did you talk to your mom like that? What was that all about, right? And they may get angry, and I'm like, no, chill, don't get angry. We're not fighting here. I want to know what's going on. So it's learning a Socratic method of asking questions and helping them arrive at the right answers. Right?
Say that again, because the Socratic method is so, it sounds so academic, or, that's that old style classical thing. What does that mean?
Yeah. So Socrates, the famous philosopher, used a question and answers method to walk people to the right answers. And that's all it is. You formulate good questions that help people arrive at an answer that you believe is the correct one, right? And so it takes more patience as a parent. It takes some humility, because your children at that age are often going to be disrespectful in their tone. They're going to resist your efforts to help them be mature problem solvers and arrive at the right conclusions, right? They're going to resist you. And you have to keep saying to yourself, I'm the adult here. I need to keep my emotions in check. And my job, and this is what I always say to myself, my job is to help them get to the right place.
So maybe a simple way of saying it, if you're not in the habit of doing it already, it takes some work to get into a habit or into a mindset of this. But you could just say, what did you do? How did that work out?
Right, exactly.
And you can try being funny. Well, how's that working out for you?
Yeah.
Kind of more sarcastic,
Sure.
but really more of, how did that work out?
Yeah.
How do you think that worked out?
Yeah.
Is there a different choice in solving this problem?
That's right.
How do you think that would work out?
Exactly. Yeah. So you're using that Socratic method to help them arrive at the right decision, because your time of telling them what to do is over. Spiritually for them, it's over, and practically it's over because of their aging out, right? So if you had not already trained this as a child with them, if you've not worked through this as a child with them, doing it with them as in their teens, or in their late teens as they're about to leave your home. But the reality is, as a parent, if you don't learn to do this, you're probably never going to have a healthy relationship with them as an adult. If you never learn to stop saying, why'd you do that? And how come? You always do that. You seem to never, when you use superlatives against them, because you realize you can't do it, you can't, so because those words, they're an admission of failure as a parent, is what they are. So when you talk to and that's the way I was raised. Everything was always like that. But the thing is, parents of children, the parents who give their children too much choices often are the ones that end up talking like that to their kids.
Yeah.
because they expect behavior out of their kids they never trained them to do.
Right. Right. I told our oldest two kids about 6 or 8 years ago, they were like 11 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you guys are right in this stage where here's dad and me, and here's you. You're kind of under our authority. We're telling you what to do. And when you grow up, we hope that you will be our friends.
Yeah, to be a peer relationship.
That we'll be walking alongside with you.
That's right.
And in facing the world together right now,
Right.
we are telling you what
Sure.
to do. And you're starting into this standing up on your own.
Right.
Kind of, and you will think it's more like this, and we will think it's more like this, and
Yes.
we'll probably both get it wrong
Yeah.
sometimes. So we're both going to
Yeah.
have to just, give each other a lot of
That's
space for mistakes. But when you leave, we want to be your friend.
But you. So that's an excellent point. I appreciate you bringing that up, because the choice parents are trying to be friend parents, and it's not time to be their friend yet.
Right.
Your job is to be their parent, instructor, and discipliner.
Yeah.
But if you've done that well, once we're in 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, and what I would call the launch time of their lives, when you begin to launch them out of your home, that's when you begin to can develop that friend stage.
Right.
Right?
And if you're just talking about everything, talking, asking them questions, asking them how things are going, you're being their friend.
Yes.
And so far, so good with 2 of 6.
So yeah, but
I think we
let's point
got
this out.
to
Wait
the
a minute,
launch date
Wait a minute.
as friends.
Let's be honest here. Let's be honest for a minute.
Not easy.
So, right at the launch stage, like graduating high school and getting ready to get out of our house, going on to college, going on to marriage, those final months, that final year, we'll say, but certainly those final 6 months, is like your adult children are now like this. The claws are out.
Yes.
And so for you as with their daughter, because it's usually gender specific, and with me with my son, there's not at that stage, because his mind, he was done. He was done being in our home. He was done being a child. I'm an adult now, but physically it has not happened yet. I'm still at the home with mom and dad.
Yeah.
And so those last 6 months, he was the most disrespectful he'd ever been to me his whole growing up. And I had to keep grinning and bearing it, biting my teeth, turning away. And you would have to just come over and rub my shoulder. And because my son was the most disrespectful he'd ever been to me his whole 18 years of living at that point. Right? And it was all that I could do to not punch him in his mouth and knock his teeth out of his mouth. Like literally, because now I'm looking at a man. I'm standing there man to man, and he's snarky to me, and anything I say was not good enough. Any idea I suggested, he had 10 reasons why my idea stunk. It was such a weird stage.
And she was Mrs. No, I don't want to do it that way.
No matter what you said to her,
I don't
it
want
was
to do it that way.
no.
Yeah.
No idea you had was sufficient.
Yeah.
You didn't know what you were talking about. Why are you trying to tell me what to do? So those last 6 months for each of them. So I'm thinking it's probably just a stage that every one of them knows going to go through.
Yeah.
Their hearts, they're just ready to launch and be adults. And I think you handled it well. And so now our daughter
With
texts you
help.
almost every day.
Yeah.
Y'all are friends. You're talking about her home and what's going on. My son, we have these great theological discussions now, great sociological discussions now. He's not big on politics, but that's okay. But we'll discuss it a little bit. So now we're friends and discussing life, and we're peers in ministry. And but man, those last 6 months were miserable, and it behooved us. And I never use that word, right? I hate the word behooved. But it behooved us to remember it's our job to launch them well.
Yeah.
And that we need to go ahead and humble ourselves.
Right. And now is the time to say, goodness, it just broke my heart to see that mom with a little bitty kid just just like hands off, don't
Yeah.
want to
What do you
offend.
want, honey? Do you want
But
this? Do you want
now
that?
that's how we're supposed to be.
Right.
Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
offend you
That's right.
because you're an adult.
Yeah.
And I need to respect you as much as I respect any other adult.
Yeah, our daughter who's just married a Marine who's getting ready to deploy.
I would never tell our neighbor what to do.
No, she's a military
never tell her
wife
what
and
to
all
do.
the complexities of that. She's navigating. She wants to go to college and she's navigating that. And our job is just to say, well, what do you think? Would you like that? So when she gives us what she's thinking she wants to do, our job is to say, well, would that work for you? Would
How
you
do you
like
think
that?
that's going to work?
Maybe this would work. Our job is to just
Maybe
be an
check
encourager
this idea
and a
and
sounding
then
board.
say, yeah, you can do this.
Right, that's right. Yeah, because we believe in them.
Yeah.
Because we've done what we could do to train them.
Mm-hmm.
We've given them to the Lord. We dedicated them to the Lord when they were babies, when they were born. We held them up to Him and dedicated them to Him. Mm-hmm. And now we've launched them out of our home into their lives. Mm-hmm. We believe in them. We love them. We support them. But most of all, we believe that God has a plan for their life. Mm-hmm. And we just want to cheer them on as they run their race. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I guess that's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys, because, this whole parenting thing, and we got 4 more at home. 3 teenagers.
2 down, 4 to go.
2 down, 4 to go. All right. God bless you. We love you. If you got comments, questions, concerns, put them in the bleep blooper down there at the bottom, just and one of us will pop in there and answer it, go, yeah. Or if you just think we're crazy, we don't know what we're talking about, we've not done a good job, our parenting skills stink, and we don't know anything we're talking about, well, let us know. Maybe, we're open to learning.
Yeah, it's okay.
We still got 4 more to go.
Yeah.
I'm open to learn. I do not think I've got this all figured out. Anyway, God bless you. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us at Straight to the Heart with Eric Earhart and Shari Earhart for What's Up. Peace out.